This lesson is the Chapter 2 review for the test. Let's start out with some questions that are always, sometimes, never. Obviously, you see the answers in the answer column. Make sure that you cover those up so that you don't see them and think that you know the answer when you truly don't. First one, so you're saying, does it always happen? Does it sometimes happen? Does it never happen? An obtuse angle has a complement. Well, think about it. What does it mean to be a complement? Complement means to add to 90. An obtuse angle is over 90. So this will never happen. An obtuse angle can never have a complement. Number 2, the bisector of two adjacent angles are perpendicular. The bisector of two adjacent angles are perpendicular. Well, if you think about it, if you have two adjacent angles, the only time that a bisector bisects to be that would look like this picture. This is 1 out of 1,000,000 times that this happens. So this answer ends up being sometimes, because one time this can happen, where this is the bisector. And these two angles are adjacent. Number 3, if two angles are supplementary, their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. Okay, it says if two angles are supplementary, their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So in this picture, you have sides. These two are supplementary, and these two are supplementary, saying, hey, look at us, we form opposite rays. But maybe this angle here and this angle over here are supplementary. Maybe these two angles are supplementary, but then they don't form opposite rays of each other. So somewhere it needed to say that they were adjacent and for that to always happen. So in this case, this sometimes happens. Number 3, the supplement of the complement of an acute angle is obtuse. So what do we start with? We're starting with an acute angle. So pick a number. Okay, so the acute angle, let's say you start with, I don't know, is 30. The supplement of the complement. Well, what's the complement of this? The complement of this, the comp is 60, which then means, oh, the supplement to that is 120, which is obtuse. And so that kind of happens. Now, the largest acute angle you could have, let's say, is 89, which then the supplement ends up being 91, or sorry, then it's 1, and then it's 181 for that answer. 179. So this always happens, no matter what number you pick. Number 5, if three angles are complementary, their measures are each 30. Well, what does it mean to be complementary? Complementary by definition is two angles are complementary. So this answer is never. Unless when vertical angles are complementary. Well, can vertical angles be complementary to each other? Well, sure. If you have angles, they started like this, and then this angle could be 45, and this angle could be 45. Meaning that they would add to be 90, so they are complementary. So this sometimes can happen. Very rare will that happen, but sometimes that can happen. So this section here is very challenging. You will have a couple on your test that you will have to choose, always, sometimes, never. And it's kind of like true or false, where it never has to happen, so that's like false. It always has to happen, so that's true. And if there's that gray area, that's the sometimes in the middle. Question 7, let's take a look at it. What do we know? Angles 1 and 2 are supplementary. So that means angles 1 and 2 add to equal 180. Angles 3 and 4 are complementary. So that adds to equal 90. And then 2 and 4 are vertical, so that means they equal each other. They're congruent. So what do we notice? We see two variables in an expression, so that means we have to set up a system. So what do we know? The first equation is right up here. 1 and 2 add to equal 180. So we got 3x plus y. We're adding x plus y plus 30 and setting that equal to 180. There's the first equation. The second equation says 3 and 4 are complementary. Well, we don't have angle 4, but we know 4 and 2 are the same. So let's take 2x minus 3y, add x plus y plus 30, and set that equal to 90. Each simplify this, so if we simplify this side, the 3x and the x, so this is 4x. We got y and y plus 2y. And this side has 30, but we want to move it over here because that's the number we need, so we subtract that over, so we left with 150. Second one, we got 2x and x, so that's 3x. Negative 3y and y, so that's negative 2y equal to the 30 can't stay over here, has to go over here, minus it over, so then that equals 60. So this is the system we are going to solve right here. Well, let's take a look at it. Well, we could do it by elimination. The 2 and the negative 2 already cancel out, so 4x and 3x, that's 7x, and we add them. 150 plus 60 is 210 divided by 7. X ends up equaling 30. Great, that's the first part. Now we need y, so we'll plug it back into one of these. And we could say, all right, we have 30 times the 3 minus 2y equals 60. Well, this is 90 minus 2y equals 60. So negative 2y, when I minus the 90 over, equals negative 30 divided by negative 2. Y equals negative over negative becomes positive. So there's y. We had x already, so we got both those in. And then the measure of angle 4. Well, we don't have it to plug into. But what do you know? Angle 2 is equal to angle 4 by this statement up here. So let's plug it into angle 2. So we got 30 plus 15 plus another 30. So the measure of angle 4 ends up equaling 75. And we're done with question 7. Number 8. We have x and y again, so it's kind of like a system. We need to find x, y, and then a, b, c, so this angle here. Well, what do we know? We know, first off, that these two angles right here add to equal 180, so I could make a system once again. I could say 2x plus 40 plus 2y plus 40 equals to 180. And then I can say these two this way also add to equal 180. So x plus 2y plus 2y plus 40 equals to 180. And set up another system. Simplifying this, 2x and then 2y, and then we got 40 and 40 is 80, but the 80 needs to go this way, so that means that's 100. So one equation, I'm going to write it over here, is 2x plus 2y equals 100. And the second equation, we have x and then 4y, so then we get x plus 4y equals 2, and then we only have a 40. 40 moves this way to equals 140. What are you going to get rid of? Let's get rid of the x's because we can't do it right now, so we'll multiply this one by negative 2. So we got 2x plus 2y equals 100, and negative 2x minus 8y equals negative 280. X's cancel out. This makes negative 6y. This right here equals negative 180 divided by negative 6. Negative out of negative becomes positive, so y equals 30. Plug it back in, and let's plug it back in. So we got x plus 4 times 30 equals 140. Simplify it. This is 120. So x equals 20. We got x now. We had y. And we need ABC. Well, ABC, this angle is congruent to this angle. They're the same. They're vertical angles. So we can then plug it back into here, and we can say 2y, when y is 30, plus 40. So this is 60. 60 plus 40. That means the measure of ABC is equal to 100. Number 10, let's look at the picture. We have angle 1 right here, which is x squared minus 5x. Angle 2, which is 21 minus x. Well, what do you know about angles 1 and 2? They're opposites of each other, so they're vertical angles. So, ooh, what do we know about vertical angles? Vertical angles are congruent. So what can we do with these two expressions? We can set them equal to each other, and we can say that x squared minus 5x is equal to 21 minus x. All right, we have an x squared, so that means we have to factor. We have to bring everything over, so we're going to minus 21 and add x over to the other side. So what do we get? We have x squared minus 4x minus 21 equaling 0 before we can factor. Let's take a look at it. Leading coefficient of 1. Awesome. So that means x and x go here. So we do 1 times that. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 21. But add to negative 4. The numbers you think of. How about negative 7 and positive 3? That gives me negative 4. So this answer is 7. This answer is negative 3. Maybe they both work. Maybe they don't. We don't know. Let's try it out. So if I put in 7 here, I get 7 squared minus 5 times 7. That's a positive value. All right. We get 21 minus 7, positive value once again. All right. The next one, negative 3. Negative 3 squared. So that's 9 minus 5 times negative 3. Well, this is 9 plus 15. All right, so that's 24. And then 21 minus the negative 3 equals 24. So they both work. But we want angles TVW, this angle here, which is the supplement to both of these two angles. So if we know that this angle is 14 or 24, the leftover ends up being, when x equals 7, the other angle, TVW, is equal to 166. And when x equals negative 3, TVW equals 156. And we're done. Number 11, last one on the front side. We got A and B are complementary. So they add to equal 90. B and C are complementary. And then we have A and C. We don't have B. So we can't say, oh, A plus B equals 90. But what do we know? We knew a rule from 2.4 that B is the same angle. And when these are complement to the same angle, the complements of the same angle are congruent. That means these two right here are congruent. So we can say that x squared minus 25 is equal to 5x minus 1. This is what we can factor. We have an x squared, so let's minus the 5x and add the 1 over. Minus 5x, add 1. So we get x squared minus 5x minus 24 equals to 0. This is what we need to factor. Leading coefficient of 1, great. So we got x and x. We multiply here, so it multiplies to negative 24, but adds to negative 5. Think of the two numbers, negative 8 and positive 3. So this answer is 8. This answer is negative 3. Make sure they both work. Let's try negative 3. So let's do 5 times negative 3 minus 1. Well, this is negative 15 minus 1. So that's negative 16. So negative 3 does not work. That means 8 has to work for x. Find the measure of b. Well, we don't have it, but what we can do is we can plug it back in to 5 times 8 minus 1, so that's 39. And b is the complement to that, so we'll do 90 minus 39, giving me my answer of 51 for the measure of angle B, and we're done with the front side. Page 2, we started out with a picture. We have this angle 28 minus 4x. This angle is 2x squared minus 6x plus 52. Well, what do you notice? It's making a straight line. Two angles that are adjacent form a straight line or supplementary. So we can say that 2x squared minus 6x plus 52 plus 28 minus 4x equals to 180. We need to simplify that. This side simplifies to 2x squared minus 10x plus 80 equals to 180. Before you can factor, it has to equal 0, so minus this over this way. 2x squared minus 10x minus 100 now equals 0. Now we can factor. Doesn't have a leading coefficient of 1 yet, but wait a second. Even, so that means we can pull out a 2, leaving with x squared minus 5x minus 50 equals 0. So now we need to factor this has a leading coefficient of 1. So this we could go right into x and x. So this, when you multiply two numbers that multiply to negative 50, they add a negative 5, is negative 10 and positive 5. So this answer is 10. This answer is negative 5. Got to make sure they both work. So negative 5 when I plug it in. 28 minus 4 times negative 5. So this is 20. So that's 48. So that works. And we put 2 times negative 5 squared minus 6 times negative 5 plus 52. So this is 25 times 2, so this is 50. Negative times negative, that's positive, so that's 30. And then 52, so we got 132. So this does work. Let's try 10. So we get 28 minus 4 times 10. Well, that's 28 minus 40. So that's a negative value. So 10 doesn't work. The only answer is x equals negative 5 for the answer. Number 13, the ratio of the measure of angle 1, 2, and 3 are 3 to 7 to 2. So we got 3 for 1, 7 for 2, and 2 for 3. What do they all need? They need an x on them. The picture shows that 1, 2, and 3 make a straight line. So we have 3x plus 7x plus 2x. Setting it equal to 180. That's 12x equals 180. So x ends up equaling 15. Got x. Now we want the measure of angle 2. So that's 7 times 15, which equals 105, which equals the measure of angle 2.